All right, it's 6:30. We're going to call the meeting to order. 2.0 prayer. Mr. Whalen, would you want to?
Let's pray. Lord God Almighty, thank you for the opportunity to once again come together and serve the people of Stevenson County, folks at Acres Nursing Center, work there, live there. Pray you help us make good decisions tonight to handle the budget process properly and to work through these things in an amicable way. I do with God honoring. Thank you and praise you for this time. In Jesus' name.
All right, 3.0 approval of tonight's agenda. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
By Mr. Whalen, do I have a second? Second. By Ms. Jackie, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4.0 review and approval of meeting minutes from August 8th. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Mr. Whalen, do I have a second? Second. Ms. Jackie, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. For 5.0, approval of claims totaling in the amount of cash requirements and manuals of $227,295.42. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Whalen, do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Helly, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Public comment. Do I have any public comment? Anybody? All right, moving on. Reports to the committee. 7.1, administrator report. You.
All right. I tried to provide some additional information this month, just kind of as I've gotten rolling in this role for the facility and for the county. This time, the format that you guys see here that I provided for the committee and other members here today is a similar format as what's been provided in the past. But if there's ever any additional information that is requested or that you guys would like to see representative of the facility, any aspect of the facility operation, just let me know, and I will certainly be happy to add it for each month's committee meeting. Just as you can see there, just going down a rundown of the current facility census. So somewhat of an increase from when I started. I've been overseeing the facility now for about a month at this point. So just again, kind of getting things started as a whole, but trying to move in the right direction as far as our census development. Reflective there of our current census listed there, as well as one pending admission, possibly two actually for the week. I've given a breakdown there of residents by payer source. So residents that are either there short-term or long-term, residents that of the facility that are there short-term using their Medicare Part A traditional Medicare benefits, and then those that also that have insurance companies that manage their Medicare benefits for a short-term rehabilitative stay. There's two of those in this case. So that being the difference between traditional and replacement. And then for our Medicaid population, which are traditionally long-term residents, those that have insurance companies that manage their Medicaid benefits, so managed Medicaid. One resident that's is currently receiving hospice care under the Medicaid benefit or under the Medicaid insurance. Four that are Medicaid pending, so they've made application for the Medicaid coverage, so that they'll be with us in theory long term. And then also 12 that are still covered under traditional Medicaid program. One private pay resident, in this case, that happens to also receive hospice care for a total of 41. Setting goals with the management company's representative that helps us strategize as far as census development. So working towards, at least in my mind, 50 residents at this point. So it's kind of a goal in my mind for, of course, today's what, the 12th of September. So moving now into October, my goal is to reach the 50 mark and then kind of go from there. Also reflected there, point number two is information with regard to personnel status. As again, as what's been provided previously. To this committee, a number of new hires. I've made this information reflective of from the previous or the last nursing center committee meeting, which was I think was on August 8th, through today. Now this meeting, 4 new hires since the last committee meeting, and then also reflective of 5 individuals whose employment has come to an end, either voluntarily or involuntarily. Just speaking to that for the moment, just so you guys can know where I stand with that. Both from the point of view of the federal and state government, the federal government specifically is watching nursing facilities in terms of turnover rates, as far as it's reflective of a lot of things as it relates to facility operation. Turnover is something that I plan to pay particular attention to. One of the nice things about running a county government-owned nursing facility is that there typically is many long-term staff already within the facility that have worked there for quite some time. And thankfully, that's been a benefit of the facility, and there are many individuals or staff members that are in that situation. So that's a little bit easier in that way, but not, still some areas to grow as far as employee longevity and turnover rates as a whole. Also listed there as well, point C, under number 2 for personnel. As far as the facility has made use of contracted staff, temporary staff, nursing staff in this case, certified nursing assistants, and licensed nurses. That's been something that's been in place since prior to my arrival. As it's been with other facilities that I have overseen, the goal there, because of, if nothing else, because of the costs involved for any nursing facility, regardless of type of ownership, the cost usually related to contracted staffing is much higher than what it would be for obviously employing our own staff. So there has been a reduction at this point that has been shown in reports provided by the management company as to the use of both certified and licensed nursing staff in this case. And just as an FYI, outside of the dietary department, which is already contracted and has been contracted by a company called Healthcare Services Group, which manages housekeeping and dietary departments for, well, at least in my experience with nursing facilities, they happen to manage our dietary departments, handle their own thing. That's just the way that's been. But nursing staff being the focus in this case, as far as CNAs and nursing staff as a whole, trying to bring the amount of contracted nursing staff agency use to further minimum. So at this point. So just to let you know that's on my radar as far as the usage of that staff, if no reason other than cost alone, but also because it provides for better overall stability to the facility, just by definition, by having your own staff. So that's going to continue to be a focus as a whole as well. So point number 3, I like to always provide, as I would for any facility, an update as it relates to the governmental body that oversees us from the state level, the Illinois Department of Public Health, which is the regulatory agency that oversees all regulatory aspects, all the rules that we follow, both federal and state. The facility did have a complaint survey, which is, again, just part of normal facility operation in July, just speaking to the time not long before I came on board. And then now we just had a complaint survey investigation now this week, in which there were no findings. At any time, residents and or their families or representation can call in a complaint to be investigated. If they didn't feel that the facility acted in the way that they should have, or if they have a concern on a certain level, they can call the Illinois Department of Public Health to make that complaint. They'll come in and do the complaint investigation. We provide them with clinical documentation, depending on what the issue is. It could also be a billing issue. I mean, it could be really anything. And the state usually makes their findings, whether there's findings that are found or no findings. And in this case, there were no findings as to the concern for the survey that was this week. So as I will talk about in the miscellaneous items section, as far as what we call our CMS, our Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services 5-star rating system, which we'll go over that, like I said, as well. As it relates to our survey history and basically our performance in that area, the goal always is to keep surveys to a minimum. And just as an example, when I worked in Fulton County at the county home there, we got to the point where all we had every year was our annual survey, maybe one complaint, if we manage complaints or manage concerns on the part of residents and or their families on a daily basis, then they don't need the state because we take care of their problems. So that should be how it works. Again, just driving the facility more so in that way. The facility is overall, as far as our rating from the federal government, again, just keeping complaints to a minimum as far as what that is. There are no outstanding regulatory items at this time. There are no outstanding surveys with regard to the facility. And as I think I might have mentioned maybe in the last month's meeting, and as I will continue to remind as we get closer towards the end of the year, as all skilled nursing facilities nationwide are, we're prepared for our annual survey, because at minimum, we're required to be surveyed annually as far as our annual survey by the Department of Public Health, which historically has taken place, at least from what I've seen in the building anyway, around December, January, February, maybe. This year it was in January. So, and again, that just involves a comprehensive review. An entire team of surveyors, usually nurses, state nurses, will come in and they'll not investigate, but they'll assess as far as every aspect of the operation, how we do everything in the facility, how all the services are provided, if the residents have complaints, their families, resident satisfaction, all those things. So just as you guys can know my mindset as well, the facility at not too long in the distant past was a 5-star facility. And we were currently, and we'll get back to this as far as our miscellaneous items, but currently the facility is a 3-star overall facility, which is not a horrible rating, but we will continue to push back up towards being a 5-star rating for the facility as a whole. So just speaking to that as well as far as any survey items. Point number 4, as far as environmental and or maintenance items of note. Mr. Chairman, you had asked as far as the HVAC repair, as far as the course of that particular project. I got an update today from the maintenance director of the facility, and he just even saw the work that was done this week myself, that 4 out of the 6 air handlers, I guess as I understand it, that were arranged even prior to my arrival, were installed actually yesterday. Those, as I understand it, as to what's been explained to me, those have to be special ordered. Usually about 4 to 6 weeks wait time for those once those are submitted. In this case, the 2 that remain are 4 to 6 weeks out from August 6th. So we're still waiting on those to be completed, those final 2 to complete the project as a whole, as I understand it. But 4 out of the 6 have been installed this week. So that's my current understanding. Madam Chairperson, as well, as far as that particular project. So, Mr. Chairman, that's my understanding at this time. So,
Thank you.
As far as any other environmental issues, actually, just as an FYI, I was updated today by the Environmental Services Director that in the facility's laundry room, there are 3 commercial washer units. One was not operating when I came on board, so that left the 2 that was serving the facility. Now, granted, the facility census, population, what have you, as a whole is smaller right now. So the 2 units, in my view, at least as it was, could serve the resident laundry needs, but 1 has gone down today. So we're now down to 1 washer operating, which would still technically meet the needs, but we're trying to get a technician to come out to repair that particular unit. As to the 3rd unit that serves the laundry room, we'd probably have to look into that at some point, just simply because as we push the census higher, we don't need more laundry, machine capacity to meet the needs of the residents' laundry needs on a daily basis. So just FYI, we're working on getting the 2nd one, I guess now repaired, and then we'll look towards the 3rd one as well, as far as the need for that when it comes to that at this point. So we'll see about that. I'll give an update to that during the next meeting as far as that equipment. And actually, just noting as well, Denise, are you covering supplemental items under tonight?
Yeah, we can cover.
Okay. The only reason I ask is because, just to note as well, there is in the kitchen, there is I don't call it a walk-in cooler unit. There's a walk-in refrigeration unit that you can push a cart into to hold carts of food that's been prepared. That's been non-operational since before I started. So I have suggested that we look into the possibility of seeing about getting that repaired because it wouldn't hurt to have it. The dietary manager communicates that on a daily basis that, as far as this continued non-functional status, and just looking into see if we could get that maybe repaired and have that benefit the facility as well. So as far as larger equipment pieces, that's kind of what that is. The generator, just a note as well, today's September 12th. So within the last 2 weeks, the facility's emergency backup generator a controller component malfunctioned on it. So we were down without a generator for about 5 days, which is not a comfortable position to be in, just because obviously we require that. But we did make report to the state. They knew that that was the status of that. That's since been repaired, and we are back to being fully operational as far as that particular piece of equipment. So we are served, continue to be served by our emergency backup generator. I did reach out to the county emergency management agency director and to the health department director as well, because we're required to notify them as to when we have situations like that, so they can be aware of that. So, but again, that is fully functional again. So we are continuing with that as far as that particular piece. Number 5, under the safety committee meeting, as I've informed Georgia as county administrator and the chair of this committee, I've met with Mark Bell from the Insurance Program Management Group, as far as our liability coverage, and just kind of had a kind of conversation with him as far as kind of where the facility's been in terms of workplace safety issues and potential areas of improvement. He, based on the information he relayed to me, the facility, at least even in the last year, has not, God help us, has not had really any major claims associated with it, as far as what I normally would call slips, trips, and falls.
No.
On that level, so hopefully we can continue to try to promote safety for all the staff and residents, to try to keep claims to a minimum. Our safety committee meeting will continue to address any potential areas of workplace safety issues through a commentary given from the management staff and the frontline staff. But again, at this point, we're just kind of monitoring as far as any concerns on that level. And we're actually, Mr. Bell is coming out tomorrow actually to provide workers' comp training to the management staff of the facility, because I wanted the management staff to have that understanding as far as what in this case, I guess soon will be county practices as it relates to any work comp issue and how to process those, even for my own benefit, my own understanding. So just as an FYI to that will be tomorrow. So the facility management staff will have that. And as far as miscellaneous items, the facility is currently undergoing a COVID outbreak, as many facilities are. COVID has kind of made a resurgence as of late. We are at this point, because obviously it's not, as I spoke with the director of nursing today, staff and residents are not in quarantine for forever. We have staff returning to duty by tomorrow at this point, and residents coming off of isolation. So it's just a management piece for while they're in quarantine. It's just a difficult, process that we have to go through as we continue to deal with COVID. I'm sure the health department has, they kind of do what they do as far as in relation to that as well, and for the community and for the county. As I was mentioning to somebody the other day, the emergency declaration for COVID-19 on the part of the federal government from the U.S. Department of Healthcare and Health and Human Services, that was May of last year. So, I think as a citizen, you would think that maybe it would concern, but it still is. And our practices as a facility are still very much in terms of making sure the residents receive updated immunizations as far as COVID. Not to mention annual immunizations for influenza and pneumonia. Making sure the residents are kept up with it, they're able to receive that, so we can keep them in the best situation possible as it relates to those needs too. So. Unfortunately, just that's kind of the world we live in with regard to COVID-19 at this point. So again, we continue to manage through that and try to keep our, staffed as best we can, even though we have staff that, go down for COVID and have to be isolated or quarantined for that required time frame, until they're able to come back on duty. We had actually, as it was going to be actually this weekend, our resident and family picnic was scheduled, but the decision was made because of COVID-19 and the scale of the outbreak at this point. We had residents' families that expressed concern about us having that if we have a pretty decent sized outbreak of COVID-19 in the facility. They didn't want their loved ones to be a part of that because of that reason. And ultimately, I agreed that we would postpone that at least for now until that's no longer a concern, and then we can reapproach that. So. As far as my report as a whole, and as far as a month in review, that's pretty much what I had put together for today.
Anybody have any questions for Marcos?
I will just make a comment. This is fantastic. Having this breakdown. Oh, so yeah, I've never had a breakdown of the residency like this. We've had kind of a general statement from time to time. That's really good. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marcos.
Oh, I can usually talk to you about
My translator.
Kevin?
That's fine.
Have you looked into reaching out to the VA for being able to accept residents from the VA?
Veterans assistance, reach out to get the certification.
So one more time.
To get the veterans rating back, to give them residents.
The VA contract.
The VA contract, the veterans.
Oh, okay. So the TCM representative we work with regard to that particular question, the last report I got from him was probably last week, that he's well on that way to being able to get that completed. So my understanding at this point is that we will still be able to move in that direction and get that accomplished.
Great, thank
So,
you.
Which as I understand it, I think you and I talked about, the facility used to have that agreement and will now hopefully have it again.
Thank you.
And just to add to that, we checked and the facility had the agreement before. It was never really taken out of the system. It was kind of put on hold, which is good because now we still have to reapply, but the financial back and forth is already in place. So it will shorten the time frame.
You have a rough idea of the time frame?
You're always at the mercy of that, but it could be in the next 60 days.
Any additional questions for Marcos? All right, thank you. 7.2 TCM.
Obviously, Marcos covered a lot of ground in the last month. Let's start with the P&L. The month of July showed a $60,669. Still at an $18,407 profit for the year to date. The drivers of the loss in July were really a couple things. A little bit drop in census, but the agency nursing was almost $40,000. I don't know if everyone has a second sheet that I did. It wasn't with the original packet, but it shows the first 8 months of the year, what the payroll was, what the agency was, and then the census. When we started agency the year, only like $1,300 in January. Then we were agency free February, March, April, a little bit of agency. Then May, 15,000 and change. June, 17,000 and change. July, 39,000 and change. And since Marcos has been here, we're down to like $3,000 for the month of August. So it's a huge accomplishment. So already, yeah, and the payroll is down a little bit too. So that 60,000 is going to be a lot less in the month of August when we do the August. And what it is yet, I'm not sure, but things were swinging in a bad direction. But Marcos put the stopper in, and we're moving back with the goal of 50 census, like he said, we should be profitable in the month of September. Any questions on the P&L? Let's go to the cash flow. Georgia, does everyone have the updated one or no?
I sent it out this
Okay.
afternoon.
So we have received a good chunk of the levy money so far, over 300,000, which has helped. You see the treasurer's report that comes out. We're no longer in that $1.1 million, $1.2 million range, in 850,000 range. So there has been several hundred thousand. I mean, we're showing, this last 3 months of should say a negative financial trend, that it's hurt the, hurt the cash flow. I don't think there's any chance of getting back to break even. That dream is gone by the end of this year. Sometime next year. So I don't know, any questions on cash flow? Go to the accounts receivable. Accounts receivable, it's 1,267,436.33. 252,523.46 is in the older than July column, the year or older column, of which there's still about the write-offs that were approved last month are not on here yet. And my best guess is there's about 100,000 in this category that will be written off we will recommend to be written off between now and the end of the year. Questions there? There's another topic that's on the agenda, that's not on the agenda. There's something called the Impact software. It's a Medicaid software. We're already on it and everything. But every nursing home in the state by November 1st has to update the website. Currently, there are 3 people on the county. There are 3 people for the county, for the Stevenson Nursing Center that are on, they're listed. One is Rayanne Miller, probably fine. Another one, S. McGlynn.
Business office manager.
Okay, so she's no longer here. I know Gwen Tony isn't here. So we have one person on, but we would recommend, I'm assuming you want us to do all this stuff. So, which is fine, it's not a big deal. So the question is, who do we want to be contact? So, our recommendation would be the administrator of the facility, keep Rayanne on,
Or
unless you want her.
Well, I was gonna say, I think before it was traditionally the administrator, business office manager, and HR director, which was what Rayanne was, but I guess I'll leave that up to you guys.
We recommend the administrator, yourself, being the administrator, and then one of our billing people.
Yeah.
So
That's fine. I'm
go
fine
ahead
with
with
that.
that.
If the committee's fine with that. That's not the registered agent.
No,
That has to be.
that's the only
I was
people
gonna say,
that get into this one website. You always want to have someone on there that's going to be around in case something happens. So, thinking George is you're the stone here. You're the rock. So, okay, we will handle it. We can always change it in the future. But we always want to have someone on there live. Because if everyone goes away, it becomes a problem. Anything else?
Okay,
That's it.
any questions for TCM? None. Moving on. 8.0 is new business. We have no new business. 9.0 is old business. Discussion and approval of the proposal of 2025 budget. Just a side note, Ms. Newcomer did reach out to the broker and numbers are still not available to be available in October. So other communities are just warning in on knowing that those numbers are going to change. Discussion on one.
What did you just say? The broker? Diamond Brothers.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
one
the
thing-
Diamond Brothers, the numbers that are missing that we haven't
Understood.
Yeah,
Renewal
no, I-
numbers.
will be available in October.
I thought you were
No, sorry.
talking about audit.
Right, so nothing changed on the
Yes,
budget. That
nothing
was the
changed.
only outstanding question we had. Should we have an update as soon as we know?
discussion, looking at it,
I had a couple questions. If that's
Then
okay,
make-
Madam Chairman.
go for it.
Do we need a motion to approve this first or?
All right, so I need a motion first.
So moved.
Bush,
I'll second it, yes. I'd like to discuss it.
okay, now discussion.
Line item 35505 Medicare Part A. We're running year to date 257.94, and there's a request. Budget request for 2024 was 1.23 million, and you're still requesting 1.16 million. I'm just curious why that number's still so. It's
I
really
don't
looking at
have that.
three Medicare people right now
Any comments?
on Medicare Part A.
I'm sorry, which line item now again?
Medicare Part A,
Okay,
35,505.
okay, gotcha. So our actual year to date is it's not on there. The
Well,
budget-
as of 8/31/24, it registers 250,794. And I only see on the census, 3 Medicare A people. 2 of them being replacement, which I assume from what Marcos just said was short-term stay. So they may not be around too long. Again, I imagine you got a plan for some additional personnel or clients that come in on Medicare.
Yeah, we
But
were
that seems
averaging
like
6 or 7 earlier in the year, we were averaging.
Yeah.
So I know we're down at 3 now,
Mhm.
but with the census projection, you know, that's part of the strategy too. It's not just more census, it's more Medicare.
Understood, but that's still a pretty good jump in terms of budget. From what we're running right now.
So where are you getting the number that we're running right now?
Right next to the 2025 Department request, it says 2024 as of 8/31/24.
I see what you're saying.
So I guess I'd like some clarification on that before I approve it myself. And then the MMAI budget. Right now, we're on a clip to hit about 2.5 million on a budget of 3.03 in 2024. If that, again, if the number's right in the column that lists 2024 as of 8/31/2024, shows a total of 1.649 million,
Mhm.
which projecting out to the end of the year is a run rate of about 2.5. And you're at the budget for 2025 is bumping that up over $1 million. I'm curious as to why that would be.
So first off, the column with the as of 8/31/24 is cash based. Assume you're getting that off of the website numbers. And ours are accrual based. So that's one of the problems. Is that through August, maybe we've only collected through June. And this is only reflecting 6 payments out of the year rather than 8 payments.
Okay.
So they're understated, on the one hand. Probably in both cases, both your questions, I believe. I mean, that's my only response really. They're understated. The other part is if you were to look at the website right now, it will show that we've made $500,000 profit through August 31st. And we know that's not true. Based on, you know, we really made 18,000 on an accrual basis. So
So what I hear you saying, if, to be correct, I would need to add this number to whatever the outstanding revenue is that hasn't come in on those lines yet.
right.
Or cash.
Or we can just look at the P and L, just talk about it. Those are the accrual numbers. So Let's look at year to date. But this is through July only that I have.
Yeah, Medicare shows 334,981 date, July. 334,981.
And Medicare replacements, another 120. 193.
1.6. For mainly Medicaid?
No, for the managed care would be
Oh, sorry.
Medicare. So between Medicare and the Medicare replacements, we're at 531,000 for the year. The MMAI, right, we're 1.622. Is that what it said here? Plus regular Medicaid, so just adding all the Medicaids together. And- About 2.5 million on all the Medicaids right now, in 7 months.
That would certainly make that more on track. How was this put together? Was this right off the team spreadsheet? So is that what you guys are updating for the budget off that team spreadsheet, that spreadsheet that we're doing? So why wouldn't you put those numbers in there?
Oh, these numbers from what we
Well, what
reported
we're
today?
just talking about, because that's, all I'm saying is that's,
Well, we didn't
It's-
update the actual. We don't.
Yeah, we don't know.
update the actual.
You just put the budget.
Adrian, or
Adrian
Adrian.
put it,
Adrian.
the spreadsheet numbers that they provided for the.
I guess I would suggest in the future there'd be better communication there, because that's very confusing to look at right out the gate. It looks like you're asking for a huge increase off of this spreadsheet. That's all the information that I have. Make sense?
Yeah, I wonder how we could maybe ask Adrian if we could use our actual numbers to plug in here versus the cash base.
For this
So that,
spreadsheet,
yeah.
from an
from a
up-to-date
budget.
standpoint,
Mhm.
that would make sense.
Yeah, we could certainly do that.
Adrian's okay with that.
Well,
Okay.
we can't adjust the actuals because it pulls it from the financial software for the master.
I mean, we
Budget.
could, if you gave us
But
a
you could
spreadsheet, we
create-
could key them in
Right.
manually.
It would just be separate.
Say estimated accrual, label them so they're not Adrian's numbers.
Or add a column that says,
Or yeah.
Because some of these look pretty accurate when you go down the list. So that's the other part that concerns me now, to hear you say that these two line items are not accurate. How can I be assured that the rest of them are? I mean, salary stuff, I think. Some of these other expenses. Anyway, that's fine. I appreciate the.
I guess I have a question.
Adrian did,
Well, go ahead.
sorry. Adrian did said she plugged the numbers in manually on August 30, from the August 31st numbers. They're from the revenue and expense report though, so the actual transactions
The revenue and expense report.
that we
The
do
one that
for the county.
Stephanie does?
The update
No.
monthly.
There's one Stephanie does, there's one that Adrian does. It's two different,
Right.
they're named different things.
So the revenue expense reports that Adrian prepares for the website
Right.
at the end of every month.
So there's a motion, a second. Is that to lay over? Is it approved? No one made a someone just said, make a motion, somebody said second. What was it for?
Basically, well, because he had discussions on it, and one that had questions, so.
Understand that there's motion
Yeah.
of things to do.
My motion was to lay over to next month. So we can get it discussed.
Is there any?
Yes, I got some questions. Contacted by a board member about, the state program, that's the HSA contribution. Are we put money back into that again this year, or? The state nursing, the nurses aid program.
Oh, yeah, we left like that.
Where's that at? That ain't,
Which
It's about halfway up the third page, Bill. 63,850 HSA contribution. It's actually more than that. You're looking at 42,500.
That's what I thought, 42.5.
What number?
Are you talking about that CNA program reimbursement? or the-
63850. It's about halfway down page 3. It's the
Yeah.
front page of the second.
Yeah, 42.5.
Okay, that HSA contribution is the health savings accounts.
Oh,
for the employee
okay.
health insurance. So
That ain't it. I can't, I've been looking for the nursing
If you
program.
go into the, on the third sheet
The
for
first sheet?
the revenue, it's about halfway down, CNA program reimbursement,
Oh, okay, then, so we're putting money in,
10,000.
in case we want to get into the program. That's what I needed to know if we're gonna, keep some money in there to get into the program. My second question is, if I heard, Chairman Baker, that our liability and workman's comp numbers will be to us next month. Will they have them before our meeting?
Hoping.
Okay, hoping. So the numbers that we have right now, liability 300,000 and workman's comp 96 will change. Okay then. So those are the only things that we're gonna see changes on. Pretty much.
The health insurance, the liability.
Okay. That's all I have.
All in favor of laying it over till next month?
All right.
Any opposed? Carried. 10.0, public comment. All right. 11, adjournment.
Also move.
Second.
Second by Mr. Roman. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to-